Hey everybody, Jeff Schneider here, and today we're going to talk about a chord that doesn't get as much attention as a lot of the other chords out there. It's called a secondary subdominant chord. Now on this channel I've talked a lot about a chord called the secondary dominant chord, but the secondary subdominant chord is just not as popular, but it's a really good one to know. So let's jump into my chord scale charts here. This is the chart in C major, and you can get this for free. And if you look here, we've got 7 different chords, and these are the chords that exist within the key of C major. Now you don't have to memorize all of these right now, but we have to go over some terms. And the first term is that the 1 chord, this one right here, C major, that's referred to as the tonic. And the 5 chord, in this case it's G7, you can see Roman numeral 5 there, and there's G7. This one's called the dominant. Now, what about subdominant? Well, think about sub as in below. Subdominant is the chord that is below the dominant chord. So if G7 or the 5 chord is our dominant chord, what's the chord below that? It's the 4 chord, in this case F major. An easier way to remember this is that subdominant is 4. That's really the key thing you have to remember. Subdominant is the 4 chord. Now, what about secondary subdominant? Well, think about the subdominant chord in the key of C major is F major. That's, let's call it the primary subdominant chord. It's the 4 chord within the context of C major. If our song is in the key of C major, in fact, let's write a real quick song in the key of C major, just a basic chord progression. Let's do C major, F major, G major, back to C major. It sounds like this. C is the 1 chord, F is the 4 chord, G is the 5 chord, and back to C, that's the 1 chord. Do you remember what the 1 chord is called? What's the name for that? It's the tonic, T-O-N-I-C. And the 4 chord is the subdominant, remember. Subdominant. We'll just do subdom for short. Dominant chord, and then back to 1, that's the tonic. All right. Anyway, the 4 chord, as we discussed earlier, is the subdominant chord. Let's call it the primary subdominant chord. So what would a secondary subdominant chord be? A secondary subdominant chord is the 4 chord of a key other than the home key of the song we're in. So the home key, as I said, it's C major, which makes F major the primary subdominant. But what if we weave in a chord here that is the 4 of a different key? Let's say we're setting up the F major and we want to do so with this passing chord. And the passing chord is going to be the subdominant of the F major. In other words, the 4 of F major. Now, what is the 4 of F major? In order to find that out, we can jump to our chord scale charts. Again, you can get these for free. Link is in the description below. And if we go to F major and zoom in here, there's our 4 chord. It's B flat major 7, or B flat major. So what we'll do is we'll go back to our basic chord progression, and now we're going to weave in, we're going to put a B flat major chord. This B flat is a secondary subdominant chord. It's the 4 of, that slash means of, 4. Let's use the same principle, but what if we wanted to set up this chord right here, this chord that we had just inserted, the B flat major? I'll write it out. So we had C, B flat major, going to F, going to G, going to C. By the way, this sounds like this. It's more interesting already. But let's say we wanted to apply the same principle. What would the secondary dominant, rather the secondary subdominant of this chord be right here? Well, it's a B flat major, so we just have to go through the same formula. What is the 4 of the chord we're going to? Remember, 4 is subdominant. So the 4 of B flat major, we can go to our charts if you need them. The 4 of B flat major, let's go to our B flat major chart. There it is, there's B flat major. Zoom in, the 4 chord is E flat major. So we can insert E flat major, and that is the 4 of that B flat chord. And this B flat chord is the 4 of this F chord. This sounds like this, by the way. Kind of cool. All right, so that is the secondary subdominant chord, but it still sounds a little majory. It sounds like, maybe that's not even the best word. There's not that much spice in there. I want to make it sound a little bit more jazzy, more R&B, especially because that's the kind of music I generally play. So how do we do that? How do we take this principle, this technique of a secondary subdominant chord and make it sound a little jazzier. Actually, before we go on, I've got to let you know that my Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator is on sale right now. It's a collection of all of my best courses on how to play more soulful, jazzy R&B chords, how to understand the chord theory in order to actually know what's going on under the hood so that you can construct voicings and chord progressions and compose and songwrite and reharmonize with that more advanced, complex, rich, harmonic sound that you know and love. So be sure to check that out. It's the Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator on sale right now, linked in the description. But let's go on with the rest of this video. So what we're going to talk about now is how to get a more advanced sound here. This is already sounding kind of cool, but as I said, I want to get a jazzier sound. So let's do that. The first technique we're going to use is the alternate bass note technique. And what that means is, instead of just using B flat major, we're going to put an alternate note in the bass, like the third or the fifth or something like that. So let's start a new page here, and we'll do C, B flat, maybe we'll do like B flat over D, hear what that sounds like, and then go to F. And actually, let's just focus on the C to the F. We don't even need to do the rest of this chord progression. Let's just concentrate on how to get from C to F and experiment with a variety of passing chords in between. So here we have C, B flat over D going to F. And now this B flat over D, by the way, it's still a secondary subdominant chord. It's just got a little bit more pizzazz due to that alternate bass note. It sounds like this. Already sounding cooler. And we can add some more interest here by including some extensions, like the 9, for instance. I always like messing with the 9 because it doesn't change the quality of the chord too much. It just adds some more thickness and color. Check out this chord now. This is B flat add 9 over D. Beautiful. I actually added the 9 on that F as well. F add 9. All right, so what else can we do? Well, you can make it a major 7 chord, actually, because again, if you go to our F major chart, we've got a major 7 chord there. So let's hear what that sounds like. We'll do B flat major 7 over D. Or I could put this F over C, and that way I have a slightly smoother bass line there, going from the C to the D back down to the C. Let's try that. That's nice. I actually took out the 9 on that example. But there's more we can do here. In addition to the alternate bass note trick, we can also experiment with something called a minor plagal cadence. So in most music, especially Western music, you've got these two kinds of cadences. You've got an authentic cadence, which is like the 5 chord going to the 1, or G to C in the context of C major, or a plagal cadence, which is the 4 chord going to the 1. F going to C in the key of C major. Now, we're going to be focusing on the plagal cadence, of course, because we're focusing on subdominant chords, which is the 4 chord. So 4 going to 1 is a plagal cadence. But what about the minor plagal cadence? That's where you use a minor 4 chord going to 1. So that would be an F minor going to C. Sounds like this. All right, we can apply the same principle as a secondary subdominant chord. Let's go back to our C going to F. What's the 4 chord of F? It's B flat. But instead of doing B flat to F, let's make it a minor plagal cadence and do B flat minor going to F. Without any other alterations, it sounds like this. Kind of cool. But I want to smooth it out a little bit. Let's experiment with some extensions, alternate bass notes, just like we did earlier. That's nice. So that's C major going to a B flat minor 7, going to F add 9 over A. That's nice. All right, but there's more we can do. What if instead of going from C to F, let's experiment with using this secondary subdominant chord going to a chord that's not so C major-y. So what I mean by that is F is in the key of C major, but what if we're going to a different key or a different chord? What if instead of going to F major, we go to F sharp major? Well, if I just play those two chords, it's not the smoothest sound in the world. But let's use that secondary subdominant chord as a way of smoothing things over. So we have to ask ourselves the question, what is the 4 of the chord we're going to? Well, we're going to an F sharp chord. What's the 4 of F sharp? You can check the chord scale charts, but I'm just going to write it in here to save time. It's a B major chord. So what does that sound like? Okay, a little bit smoother, but I want to experiment. Again, I always like to try out these extensions and alternate bass notes. That's nice. All right, that was a C major going to B major 7, and then F sharp, add 9 over A sharp. So I added the 9 on that one, and I put the 3rd in the bass. Really good voice leading in the bass that time. We've got the C going down to B, going down to A sharp. All right, but we can also apply that minor plagal cadence technique. So instead of B major 7, let's try some kind of a B minor or B minor 7. On its own, it sounds like this. That's kind of cool as is, but so hip. And then what you can do if, let's say you wanted to get back to C major, well, let's use the same principle. Let's use the subdominant chord of C major, the 4 of C major, which is going to be some kind of F, eventually getting to C. And then how about we continue this bass line? So we do F over A. So we have the C to the B to the A sharp to the A. Sounds like this. That's interesting. What about this? Ooh, that's kind of nice. I actually did F minor over A flat there. I think that's what I played. C major 7, B minor 7, F sharp add 9 over A sharp, F minor over A flat, resolving to C over G. So make sure to experiment with this chord, and if you want to learn more, you've got to check out my jazz R&B chord accelerator. It's everything I know about how to play in this jazzy R&B style and actually understand the chord theory behind it so that you can come up with your own voicings, your own chord progressions, reharmonizations, compositions, and all the rest. Check it out now, it's on sale, and if you want to watch another video in the meantime, you can click right over here, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.